It's that tax time of year again. If you live in Tarrant County, make sure to go to tarrantappraisaldistrict.org, tad.org, and type in your property address. You want to confirm that you still have a homestead exemption on your account if you live in your home. This is very, very important because it will save you a lot of money. If you do not have a homestead exemption, and you should, you are missing out on a discount of $100,000 on your school district portion, a discount on your city portion, as well as the big part, which is a cap on how much they can adjust your value annually. They will cap it at a 10% increase per year on the appraised amount, which is the amount that they actually charge you on taxes. Also, you should be expecting to get your updated notice from the county. They officially came out April 15th, and if you did get it April 15th, you have until May 15th to protest. You will get something that looks like this. It will be a white piece of paper with blue lettering, or it will be a postcard. If they did not change your value, it will be a postcard. If they did potentially change your value, you'll get an actual letter in the mail. If you have an official tax protester, so personally I use freetaxprotest.com, which is my buddy Chandler Crouch, who's a fellow real estate broker in Fort Worth, who protests a lot of people's property taxes. So he actually will receive my protest value, and I will get an email from him rather than getting the thing in the mail. The big thing to double check is that those exemptions are still on your account. Also, you will notice there is often a discrepancy between the market value and the appraised value. Now, you'll see the 2024 number and then the 2025 number, and a lot of times the appraised value is under the market value if you have a homestead exemption, because like I said earlier, they are capped at increasing it 10% annually, and so it is a lot of times lagging that market value. You are within your rights to protest your property taxes. I actually recommend that in Tarrant County everybody protest your property taxes because they can't get mad at you and increase it. The worst that can happen is they say no. I personally am signed up with freetaxprotest.com, like I mentioned, and this is not like a paid endorsement, anything like that, but he has protested over 100,000 people in Tarrant County, or home values in Tarrant County, so I use his services. He tries to make it as transparent as possible for owners in Tarrant County and protect our property rights and property taxes, which I really appreciate him being the spokesperson for our industry and trying to help fellow homeowners in Tarrant County. With that being said, if you do not have a homestead exemption on your account, you can click this button here to do the new homestead application. It used to be that you would file for it once, and as long as your title did not change, you were good. That is no longer the case. Now they are able to pull them off and reassess every 5 years. So even if you have lived in your home for well over 5 years, you may see that it suddenly disappeared, which would be a large increase in your total bill whenever the bills come out, because you're no longer getting those major exemption discounts as far as the school district and the city. Same with senior exemptions. All of those would be listed here under your exemptions granted portion. Here's an explanation on tad.org regarding that homestead exemption versus non-homestead exemption and the discounts that we receive. You can go into their online portal and protest on your own. That would be using your login PIN and your account number on your value statement that you'll get in the mail. If you choose to protest on your own, you're completely within your rights to do that. My professional recommendation is that you cultivate data that they don't have. So telling them that you have a market analysis from a realtor is not nearly as helpful, because they can say that they have other data that they believe is stronger than yours. What they don't have is access to inside your home or your property condition. So I would recommend you put together photos and estimates for major deficiencies in your home. So I don't just mean like, oh, your carpet stained. We're talking about foundation damage, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, roof. Those are the big ones. any bids or estimates you have that are effective as of January 1st of 2025, because that's kind of the valuation is as of January 1st, 2025, and cultivate all of that as your data to fight them on the value. So for example, I had a bid for some repair on my home. That is what I provided to freetaxprotest.com to protest my tax value. Now, if you do not have physical information as far as deficiencies or your home is in great shape, do not despair. You can still protest your taxes. They may say no, but there's really no downside. Like I said, it doesn't increase your value because you chose to protest. It's fully within your rights to protest their valuation. And there's a little bit of information here as far as how to do that, as far as filing it if you did want to do it on your own. If you do want to have Chandler Crouch and freetaxprotest.com do it, you just go to the website, put in your information or your TAD number, which is on that statement you got in the mail, and you'll create an account. He has an option if you want to donate to the cause, but you are not required to. His hope is just that if you don't have a real estate relationship, you would use him. But if you're watching this video, it's probably because you have a relationship with me already. So he is totally fine with you just sticking with me. This was one of his recent videos that he just put out 10 days ago about the new bills coming out and the protests. And matter of fact, he actually said that he wants to be like me too. He wants to be me for Halloween, which is pretty hilarious. I'm not sure what he would look like me. I don't know, maybe a blonde wig and some glasses and a pep in his step. I'm not sure. But if you are looking for more information on how to protest on your own, or what the process will look like, or what the different tax implications are, just reach out to me. I'm happy to assist, happy to help, and I know that he is as well. Hopefully this video is helpful. I wanted to show you all an example real quick on tad.org of what you should be expecting to see if you are curious if your homestead exemption is still in place. So when you type in the address, this is all public information as far as ownership and valuations annually. And right here under exemptions, you should be seeing your homestead exemption listed. Now, if it is a rental property or if you have it as a second home, you will not be eligible for that homestead exemption. But if you are living in it as your primary residence, which will be most people, this is imperative. Also, I wanted to point out, you can see those values as far as 2024 versus 2025. You notice that the value didn't change on this property. However, the appraised value, which is not public record, that's where you'll need to see your own personal statement and have your PIN if you wanted to log in and see it. And that's where the values are lagging because it's not being taxed as high. See how that changed here? With this value up here, and then the appraised value was below it, and then it was reduced, and so now it's matching again. But you can see those discrepancies in some of the years. If you didn't get the letter in the mail or are having a hard time logging in, you can request an updated PIN, so that way you can log into your Tarrant Appraisal District portal as well. And just a reminder, your protests are due by May 15th, 2025. A big thing you may ask though is, okay, this is the appraised value, but what does that mean as far as what my bill will actually be? And the actual tax rates have not been published yet. This is your valuation. However, the actual bill will not come due until typically October, once the city and the counties have voted and determined the specific tax rates. One of the biggest things though that we had this last legislative cycle last year or earlier this year was the homestead exemption discounts. It used to be back in the day $25,000 off the school district. It then changed to $45,000 off the school district portion, and now it has been passed and agreed to $100,000 off your total taxes on the ISD portion, which school district traditionally is our largest portion of the tax rates. You typically have 4, 5, 6 different things being brought in. So for example, on this one, there's 6 different tax items. So the school district portion is actually the largest proportion of that. So it can be a pretty significant savings with that exemption versus not having the homestead exemption. In order to file that homestead exemption, you just need to fill out the form, and you need to be providing a copy of your driver's license showing your address there at the property. So it's very important to do. I cannot reiterate it enough. If I could do it for my clients at closing, I would, but you need the new ID, so I just send out a lot of reminders. There are other exemptions. These are the list of all the exemptions that are potentially allowed as far as senior exemption, disabled vet, survivor, surviving spouse, things like that. So make sure you are taking advantage of any of these exemptions that you are legally eligible for. Thanks for watching.